Greetings, survivors. This is the Neuroshima Hex gamer. It's been a while since I've done a video on another army, so let's look at the Outpost. The last regular standing army of humankind, the Outpost wages war against Moloch at its very borders. After several hundred years of guerrilla warfare, humans invented numerous effective ways of fighting the dreadful machines. The hit-and-run tactic is crucial while standing against a stronger opponent. The outpost is never in one place, always on the move, slipping away from ambushes and traps as one mobile city. Thanks to many victories against Moloch's forces, the outpost has taken over some modern technology and uses it against the machines themselves. So yeah, very different than the other armies we've talked about so far. They do like to be on the move, which is why they're one of the trickier starting armies. In fact, I would say they're probably the trickiest starting army to play out of Borgo, Hegemony, Moloch, and Outpost. They're the most different. So of course they have their HQ that attacks on all sides at initiative 0. But the 2 stars means that if there's an adjacent unit, or adjacent units can perform an additional action in the initiative phase that follows their last initiative phase. So if a unit attacks at initiative 3 and they are also next to the HQ, they can attack also at initiative 2. Assuming they haven't been taken out. Which is really good when Outpost goes up against Moloch, because Moloch has the tougher unit. So in order to punch through that outer defense, being able to hit twice works really well. So they've got 2 runners, which simple attack at initiative 2. And once per turn they can move 1 hex onto a free hex and or turn freely. These are very useful. Again, the mobility is helpful to be able to take out enemies before the enemy can attack, or to move out of the way of getting hit. The HMG, heavy machine gun, does an initiative at 2 and at 1. In ranged, Commando, 5 of these at initiative 3, do a ranged attack. Again, lots of ranged on Outpost. The Annihilator shoots with 2 strength. Again, ranged. The most powerful unit for Outpost is the mobile armor. It has initiative 3 and 2. Does 2 melee attack in one direction and 1 ranged attack in another direction, and has mobility. So it can move, it can rotate, and it's quite strong in its attack, but it is weak in that if it gets hit, it's out. So if you can get it next to your HQ as Outpost and have it do the 2 melee attack on an enemy HQ, it would do 2 attack at 3, 2 attack at 2, and again, if it's next to the Outpost HQ, it'll do 2 attack at initiative 1. So it's a really good way to get a lot of damage out quickly. If you're facing Outpost, this is definitely a unit you want to target and take out as quickly as possible, because you don't want it to stick around, because it can just wreak havoc. The Brawler, 2 melee attack at initiative 3, so it hits quickly. Again, good for punching through heavy targets that say attack at initiative 1 or initiative 2 or 1. The Recon Center. This is a very useful item for Outpost. As long as that Recon Center is on the board, any friendly unit that uses the move action can move 2 spaces instead of 1. This is true for both the mobile armor and for the runner. So again, very, very useful for moving around the board, and also for the HQ to be able to move out of the way of attacks. Saboteur, an enemy gets an initiative of -1. So if there are 3, that's 2, and if there were 2, it's 1, so on. And then you can't have an initiative lower than 0. A couple of medics to keep them units alive. Officer gives +1 strength in ranged combat, which is useful with a lot of the commandos that, again, attack at initiative 3. And if they can hit hard and often, it's a very good way to go. I'm not the best at Outpost, but I have been whooped by good Outpost players. And the computer, admittedly. A Scoper, this one's really cool. It's kind of like the spy ability. As long as the Scoper's connected to an enemy module, it gives bonuses to the Outpost units instead of the enemies. The only catch with that is the Scoper affects all the modules that are attached to it, but the Outpost unit, in order to be affected by that module, has to be in the hex to which that module is pointing. It's a little bit tricky to show on an iPad screen on what that means. Maybe if we get a match going at some point, it'll be something to show. So look up some of the Outpost Outpost games in the playlist. Scout, +1 initiative to units. Of course, plenty of battles, lots of battles, and it seems like 6 is a lot, but part of it's if you're in a position to do damage to an opponent, especially in HQ, without taking as much or too much damage to your HQ or units, then you need to take the chance. If you have the advantage, do the battle. Plenty of move tiles. So you can move, and again, if you can combo that with the Recon Center, where you can move 2 spaces, you can get a lot of shuffling around the board. And 1 sniper does 1 wound on a single enemy unit, except for HQs. It's a good way to just take out somebody that you might not like, or that might attack at initiative 3 or hurt one of your units. Good for crowd control. So there's Outpost. Very good army, very different army. But yeah, you got to rise up against the machine. Until next time, this is the Neuroshima Hex Gamer. Please subscribe and like. And if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks.